Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another review, the second last one for the day. So now this famous quad jet airliner, this is the America's first Boeing jet airliner. Like you see Boeing planes everywhere in the globe today. Like you see Boeing 767s, 757s, even 737s, even the seven Boeing 777 and even the 787 Dreamliners. But this was the America's first Boeing jet airliner, and technically America's first jet airliner. This is the Boeing 707. Like this particular one is operated by Lufthansa, one of the current German airlines. So this was very famous because we realized that the world's first commercial jet airliner was the de Havilland DH-106 Comet. Had a lot of failures to the fact they had to ground them for a while. We needed a jet transport aircraft because we knew by the time piston engines were about to become inadequate. So for the Boeing 707 had a very interesting story. So this started somewhere in the middle of the 1950s when we were looking for a jet airliner to go anywhere in the globe. So Boeing had developed an aircraft. They gambled basically almost their whole money to develop this prototype transport aircraft. It's called the Boeing 367-80, or sometimes they call it the Dash 80. And it led into two things: to an airliner, to a U.S. Air Force tanker. So they have made airliner versions, of course, to demonstrate how they could do for airlines and everything. And there was one time the pilot who piloted that one, named Tex Johnson, did a barrel roll actually on one of the 367-80. They even have a footage there too. It's very interesting how they did that. So, and after that was developed, the U.S. Air Force tanker they developed, which was the world's first jet-powered tanker, the KC-135 Strato tanker as well. So when the airliner was being produced for the 367-80, that's how it basically became the Boeing 707, which became Pan American had them, BOAC, which is one of the British airlines, had them as well. And it became most popular airline in the entire world in the 1960s. So, and there are a bunch of military versions of these actually. There's actually the C-137 Stratoliner. And one of those military variants of the Boeing 707 actually even had the world's first Air Force jet-powered Air Force One. Like today we have the VC-25, which is a derivative of the Boeing 747-200, but we're getting it replaced in the future with the 747-8, which would become VC-25B. But the world's first jet-powered Air Force One was actually the one from a Boeing 707 called the VC 137 Stratoliner. They had a special nicknames. They call it the SAM, means Special Air Mission, SAM 2600, SAM 2700, that transported a bunch of presidents, I think from John F. Kennedy to George W. Bush, because when George W. Bush, the son, had gone one of those, at that time they were using the Boeing 707 as a backup. They were using the SAM 2600 as a backup jet, because the fact that the VC-25, which is the 747-200, were being delayed into the Air Force One, so they had to use one of these 707 lookalikes backup until it was officially retired. There's one in Museum of United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, and there's the other one I display, which is at Museum of Flight in Seattle, Washington as well. Hoping to see one of them in the future. The other military variants of the 707, as you know, they have the Doomsday aircraft. They call it Takamo, which means take charge and move out. This would be called the Boeing E-6B Mercury, which is the has very different engines, and it's very, very nice looking. Then there was also another variant that had retired as well. This is actually called the Boeing E-8 Joint Star, which is another type of aircraft too as well. That also had retired. But the E-6B Mercuries, there's a bunch of them still in the air. And the last variant of the Boeing 707, it's the famous one in the world. This is actually the AWACS version, which AWACS stands for Airborne Early Warning and Control System, and that's called the Boeing E3 Century AWACS aircraft, which is a modified version from a Boeing 707 airliner to put a big radome on the top of the fuselage, and it always alerts any fighter aircraft in the area if there's any planes coming. Like that's how it was able to help everything during the 1999 Yugoslavia War and during the Gulf War in 1991. There were other countries that had 707s too. Like even they had, like for example, in Israel, they still currently have these as tankers, for air refueling purposes. But those are going to be replaced in the future by the more advanced KC-46 Pegasus, which is a new tanker version from a 767 airliner. So, and there are other countries that have 707s as well. Like in our country, we currently have the military versions in the air, and then we have the ones from the Omega, from this private company called the Omega Tanker, as well, that also have even the DC-10s as well, that currently have these 707s with it. It's very, very cool. I hope to see one of these someday. But anyway, thank you very much for it, and stay tuned for the one last one of the day.